out to Socrates. Socrates still trying to get the opening. Oh, Socrates! Whoa!
And there it is. The crazy gang have beaten the Culture Club.
Maggie Thatcher, can you hear me? Maggie Thatcher, your boys took a hell of a beating. Your boys took a hell of a beating.
Welcome back to Your Boys Took a Hell of a Beating. We're in the fashion department once again. Module 2 as such. Adam Summerton kick-started this. Dave Bowler is our second nominee of... I don't know, if this goes to a third module, Dave, then I think we might have to reclassify it as something like the Your Boys Took a Hell of a Beating World Cup Classic Shirts Hall of Fame, maybe.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to need a bigger boat to write all that on.
We're going to need another boat, aren't we? I'm giving Andy Knott, who does all our artwork, a lot of work, but he's known me for years, so it's kind of like he would expect no less. Dave, looking forward to this. It was really good. The first one we did with Adam, his shocking admission of his love of Snap, the power, which is kind of like I had to kind of feign. Kind of like being impressed by that choice. If Aidan or Stu or yourself had come to me with that, I'd have been withering about that. But yeah, given he was friend of the podcast, we can't upset the friends of the podcast, Dave.
We have to be polite to guests, don't we?
We do. We have to be a little politer than we would be in our regular company. But yes, this is another set of kits, classic kits from the World Cup. And Dave, give us your first one.
It's a surprisingly wide range of years that we've got here. Obviously, inevitably, a chunk of them are from the 1970s, of course. I suppose we should start with the 1970 and the England shirt, the white one that they wore in Mexico. Obviously, in that famous game against Brazil and others. I mean, that's become such a. I had to keep using the word iconic, but I mean that is an iconic kit, and it was space age, wasn't it? I mean, this was football shirts from a different world. I mean, up until then, your classic shirt for any England club or the England team was your nice heavy cotton that would get you through November and December in the mud and the rain and the snow and all of that. And it was this thing made of, I don't know, what was it called? Airtex, was it?
Yes, Airtex. The perforated, breathable material of I don't know, probably unknown origin, I'd imagine.
Because it did look incredibly space age at the time. It was supposed to help with drawing the sweat away from your body and all of that kind of stuff in the heat of Mexico. So this was England being well prepared for the future. But it always looked to me like it was made out of them polystyrene ceiling tiles that you used to have back in the 70s and the 80s. Which I always remember lying in bed on a Sunday morning when I was bored. And you had the light pulley down over your bed, and if you threw it just at the right angle, you could make another hole in the ceiling. So that's what slightly esoteric version for why I like that shirt, but that's what it reminds me of.
Yeah, I totally get where you're coming from. There should be big globs of kind of like paper attached to it that kids have thrown at it and things like that. Yeah, if it's anything by my high schools was to go by, yeah. Or, the occasional protractor stuck in it and stuff like that.
Bits of dropping off as the game went on.
Asbestos checks nowadays for those type of kits.
Oh, so yes, that's true, very true.
Surely some kind of asbestos content.
I mean, it is that because of that Brazil game as well, isn't it? I mean, yes, that game's as famous as any World Cup game there's ever been. I think really the England Brazil one, and it is. It's Bobby Moore, the big red number 6 on the back. So it's very evocative of that period, and probably I think it's still the England shirt. I think obviously one that won the World Cup in 4 years earlier sticks out, but I mean for me that's still the England shirt with a badge sewn on the front as well and all of that. And there's stuff already being actually part of the design, all that rubbish. It's a big chunky badge thing that gradually slips down your chest as the game goes on. It's golden stuff.
It is the England kit. There's no doubt about that. Don't get me wrong. I've got a big soft spot for the Admiral kitsch kits, but they're on their own classification of their own, without a shadow of doubt. In terms of a broader scale, yeah, this is the one. And for me, I always preferred England playing in all white. I think the fact partially on the basis of being colourblind, I've never really kind of like been convinced that England's blue shorts are blue, and that type of thing. It's kind of like they're not blue. I'm not having that. So I've always preferred that. But these were beautiful. 1970 World Cup. You look up the footage, and yes, that Brazil game. It just looks so pristine and so vivid. The yellow of Brazil, which might get a mention as this module goes along.
The other thing with England with blue, why blue? The flag is red and white. Where's the blue coming? Obviously, it's stealing from the Union Jack, which is not England, despite what people seem to think when they shin up the lampposts these days. But red and white, that's England, isn't it?
Yep, it is. It is. It definitely is. So yeah, this is definitely worthy of inclusion, Dave. Your next one, are you sticking to the same World Cup? Are you gonna jumble these, or are you mixing these up?
We'll return to this World Cup a bit later, I think.
Excellent.
Excellent. We'll come to most modern, which most people will think can't be past the 1980s. But no, it's 2006. It's the Italian shirt that they won the World Cup in 2006. I mean, obviously the Italian blue, the Azzurri, all that sort of stuff. And that year, those gold numbers on the shirts. I mean, that was really stuck out. I think. I mean, it was a great combination. Really, a really classy kind of shirt, and it did the job. They won the World Cup, and this coming World Cup, or this World Cup that's on by the time this goes out, it's not a World Cup without Italy. I'm sorry, they should just be automatically allowed to play in every World Cup. End of story. You can't have a World Cup without Italy. It doesn't count.
It doesn't. I totally agree with that. It should be like the Masters golf. If you've won it, you've earned a lifetime kind of like membership to the club. I think they should do that with the European Cup as well, the Champions League. I still think Forest and Aston Villa. Obviously Liverpool interested there, but I think that Feyenoord, all those names that you associate with a tournament should be there. It's unsettling when they're not.
Well, given that every tournament is getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and there's we end up with hundreds and hundreds of teams in everything these days. There's plenty of room for that, isn't there? I mean, it doesn't make much difference.
Not the slightest bit of difference. But Uruguay as well. Always unsettling if Uruguay weren't qualifying as they were once upon a time. Or it's hard for them not to qualify anymore. But there were World Cups that were absent without them, and it's such. It's ludicrous, and now it's 3 in a row, Dave. It's not right, but this kit, Italy. I mean, we had a couple of Italy nominations from Adam Summerton as well, 82 and 1990. There's a theme at play here, Dave. Milan being the one of the fashion capitals of the world, Italy, and there's some absolutely spectacular ones that haven't even been mentioned yet. I can see more. Should there be a module 3, 4, or 5?
The Italian ones, I mean, they're always, elegant and effortlessly cool, and and they have the players that suit them. I mean, you look at that team, 2006. It's PLO's in there. I mean, there has been no cooler footballer in the last 30 or 40 years than Andrea Pirlo, quite obviously. And then you got Del Piero, who was more of a substitute figure by that stage of his career. But coming on, you've got Totti, you've got Cannavaro, you've got, and then at the other end of the spectrum, you've got Gattuso, who even Gattuso was made elegant by this kit somehow. But I think particularly that those golden numbers and names on the back. I mean, there was something really they just zinged out, didn't they, on the screen? They were really, really special things. I mean, they are my second favourite World Cup winners of them all, I think, beyond the obvious, which we will come to. It was just such a great, and this will be particularly steady. Probably my favourite World Cup game of all is the semi-final against West Germany, which I just thought was a fantastic game of football. I mean, it's one of those very, very few games that I would go back and watch the whole thing again, because it was just an absorbing game of football, wasn't it? And it was, Germany had got that wave going of they hadn't been expected to do anything in that World Cup, and all of a sudden they were, an exciting team to watch, and there was that story. But that Italian team, Buffon as well at the back, it was just a fabulous team, and that was a great game of football, and the goals were were terrific as well in the finishing in extra time to avoid the penalty lottery, which was, I mean, that's kind of, that's the only black mark on that Italian win in 2006, that it was on penalties. So to my mind, that's always an asterisk against a World Cup winner, an FA Cup winner, whatever it is. Penalties. It's not the right way to finish a game. I mean, you were talking one of the other modules about the golden goal, and I'd be all for bringing that back, to be honest.
Yes,
it's a better method of it, or as you were saying, that talk one's about, well, you just play until somebody scores, which is what you used to do in the playground.
absolutely.
Brought you back in for double geography or whatever it was. I mean, that was and players, to be honest, are used to that, because that's what they do in training. Quite often, the manager will say, "Well, we'll play till my team wins." Shankly was forever doing that. So, I think players will go for that, and I think it would make extra time more exciting.
It would. It's a system as well that it should really speak to kind of like millennials and generation whatever we're up to now. Surely kind of like a younger generation would actually look at that and think that's fantastic. It's got everything that you could possibly want through the a younger mind that might take a little bit more to focus and concentrate on what's actually happening. Doing younger generations is huge disservice, but I mean it. I don't come bearing these gifts without hostility. The younger generation, but you are sometimes hard to keep focused. Let's put it that way. But a golden goal, yeah. I mean, when it was a thing for those couple of tournaments, the sense of jeopardy. I can remember watching games with having no interest in who the winner was, but just being totally on edge for kind of like, God, to lose in that. I mean, I've seen Liverpool win a UEFA Cup final under those terms and conditions, 2001, and being the winning team in that circumstance is indescribable. It is utterly indescribable. So much more satisfying though than a penalty shootout. I've seen my team win European Cup finals on a penalty shootout, and you do have that joy, but at the same time, that to win a game by the last kick. I mean, maybe what we should do is kind of like have the players' mums at the side of the pitch as this goes on, and every 3 minutes, have one of them shout a son in for tea. So it's kind of like fewer players on the pitch. So we're not going to have that kind of like, well, 6 hours later, we've still not scored the winning goal.
3 against.
Eventually there's just 3-on-3 on a big pitch. Definitely up for all that. But yeah, Italy, definitely, that's a definite, without a shadow of doubt, definite. Look at the Grosso in 2006, the 2 goals. There's something fantastic about the unexpected hero in a high stakes game like that as well.
Absolutely, yeah. It was that game just had absolutely everything. I thought. I mean, it wasn't your crash bang wallop game. It wasn't a 4-3 or any of that kind of stuff. But it was really absorbing. The quality of the football was amazing. And you got to remember, obviously, Italy was going through one of its regular scandals at the time during that World Cup as well, and like in '82, to come through all of that and come out as the winners was spectacular, I think. But that kit just sort of illuminated it. I mean, it is one of those luminous kits, really. I mean, it just sort of. I mean, I'm not a great kit rememberer in particular, but I mean that's one of those ones you close your eyes and that one just comes out bang straight away. It's one of them. So. As is the next one, which we will keep to the initial order for this one, and we'll change it a bit. But Brazil 1970, obviously. I mean, how can you not have Brazil 1970? It's that Brazil 1970 is the same to me as the Beatles. It's got that, everything about that team has got the stardust sprinkled on it. There is nothing, there is no misstep in that. There is nothing that team, that period, that bunch of games, nothing that can be considered as wrong with that. It is absolute perfection in every possible sense. The same way the Beatles. It's just whether you believe in God or not. Some greater power decided, right, this is the unit, this is the outfit that's going to be the one that we will hold up forevermore as the highest pinnacle in that particular discipline. And Beatles, Brazil, that's it. And that kit, I mean, again, the first colour World Cup. Not that it was for me, but the first the first colour World Cup, and having that, you know, that canary yellow and the blue shorts and the shimmering pictures from Mexico and all of that. It's absolute perfection. And you know, you got Pele in it, obviously, and Jorginho and Rivellino and Tostao and Gerson, and you know, I mean, 50. You know, I couldn't tell you more than 3 people who were going to play for Brazil this time, but you know, 56 years on, I can tell you the Brazilian squad pretty much. It's that's just what that team was, you know. I mean, it is the you just cannot find any flaw in that whole Brazilian thing at all, unless it's the Brazilian government, I suppose. But that's another story.
That is another story. Yeah, the Nike influence and all that some people find a bit unsettling in terms of the future to come. This is a long way off all that, Dave. This is a million miles away. Yeah, I mean, Brazil 1970 is football perfection. You know, there's nowhere else you can say that. I don't think there's been some incredible things seen in football, but this is the high peak of it. This is where football was. I don't know. It reached, you know, its full attainment, and anything else coming beyond that, it can be beautiful, but it's never going to be. You know, it's never going to hit that 10 out of 10 that Brazil 1970 done. The kit is definitely involved in that. I was just, I have no idea who made this kit, because obviously it comes in a time when there's no sponsorship logos or anything like that. Cursory glance, it was made by a company called Athleta, Dave, which is I can't, maybe there will be more Athleta kits going in, but I would hope not. In many respects, I would hope that this union, this company who made these kits for Brazil, it goes no further with them, because you know, it should just be them in Brazil.
You've reached the pinnacle. Why soil it with doing anything else now? I mean, it's glorious. It's a glorious kit. You know, it's all those pictures that we've seen a million times since on YouTube, in books, and God knows what else. I mean, it is just the greatest kit of them all, isn't it? I mean, the little trim on the sleeve and everything. It's just got absolutely everything dead right. And as you say, that's football. You know, we should have stopped then, to be perfectly honest. There's no point after that, really. I mean, that was it.
Yeah, there was very little point for everyone else. You know, it's, you know, the Beatles. Why bother making music after that? You know, in some respects, you know, why? I say, you know, that Brazil 1970 side disbands in 1970. So do the Beatles, Dave. There's something very, very telling about that.
Absolutely. The world should have stopped in 1970. Basically, we got as far as we could go. It's been downhill ever since.
Yeah, peak human nature. All done now. Yeah, anything else is just it's just a tribute act, isn't it? Next up, Dave.
We'll go for 1978, Argentina. The Argentina kit. I mean, first of all, it's the closest anyone's ever got to wearing the Albion shirt. I mean, it's blue and white. It's not the proper blue, obviously, but it's blue and white, so that's a good start. And I mean, that was my first colour World Cup, because we didn't have a colour set until, I think it was Christmas 75, I think. So this was the first time I actually seen the World Cup in colour. So that makes a difference. And then obviously it was the ticker tape World Cup and all of that drama that went with that. But I just think it's a you know, of all the Argentina kits, the home kit, it's probably the nicest way that they've put it together. And also it's Mario Kempes. I mean, he was such a glamorous footballer. The flowing hair and he coming through and scoring those goals at the end of the World Cup to win it for Argentina. And then he was. It's difficult to comprehend now, for younger listeners, as they say, because you see everything. You've got if you want to, you can watch every football game there is now. You can watch games on Hackney Marshes if you want on television. I'm sure it's everything is there for you. And if whoever emerges as the star in these next few weeks, if you hadn't heard of him before, you'll be able to watch him every week next season, whatever league he's playing. If he's in the Bundesliga, or if he's playing in Brazil, or if he's playing in Spain, whatever he's doing, you'll be able to see him. After Kempes had done that in '78, we were just thinking, well, that's it. We'll never see him again. We might see him in '82, possibly, if he's still knocking around in 4 years' time. We might see him if he's in a team that gets to the European Cup final. Other than that, that's it. That's him gone. And it was the same with those kits. And it was such a, you had to Of course, there was no YouTube and all that stuff either. I mean, it's before the age of video recorders for most people as well. So you couldn't keep anything, could you? You couldn't collect it and watch it again, 6 weeks later if you wanted it. That was it. You had to absorb everything, and I think you paid more attention at the time. And then, 6 months down the line, Albion draw Valencia in the UEFA Cup, and Mario Kempes is coming to the Hawthorns, and this is like, this is the most incomprehensible thing that's ever happened. It's so much so that it was freezing cold. That was the bad winter of 78-9. That didn't quite cost Albion the title, but, that's what we'd like to pretend. It was freezing, absolutely freezing. And me and my mate went up on the Tuesday night to stand outside the ground while they were training on the Hawthorns, just so I could get Kempes' autograph as he came out of at 9 o'clock after the train. And then the game itself, and, Albion won the game and went through. But for all that Albion were fantastic that night, it was Laurie Cunningham and Tony Brown and Cyril Reedis. You couldn't take your eyes off Kempes either all the way through it, because this definitely is the last chance you're ever going to see. And you're seeing him in real life. I mean, I think if Messi came and played somewhere, in a Manchester City or, whatever, in a Champions League game or at Anfield, it's not quite the same, is it? Because
you see so much of these players. I saw Lionel Messi at Anfield that night. We came back and won 4-0 the second leg of the semi-final in 2019. Obviously, you're so enwrapped in the game itself and the comeback and everything that surrounds it. It kind of passed me by that Messi was even on the pitch, and that's a ludicrous thing to say but then you'd seen him kick a ball around on a television screen multiple hundreds of times. I'd have imagined at that point, because I used to watch a lot of the Spanish football when it was on Sky. I had a good decade or so, maybe decade and a half, where I broke away from the Italian game, and it was all about the Spanish game for a long time. It's turned back about face again since it vanished to kind of like television channels I don't even know exist anymore. But yeah, it is weird, because if I look back now and think, I've actually watched a Zidane in person or a Messi in person, was a Cristiano Ronaldo quite several times over. It doesn't have that same impact. But I can remember West Brom playing Valencia and being excited for them and kind of like, this is going to be kind of the whole idea of Kempes at the Hawthorns was just mind blowing. It was just great. So on the basis that that was one of my earliest non-Liverpool footballing memories was the fact that the actual Mario Kempes was going to be playing at West Brom. It was just a great thing, but it didn't seem outlandish. It was just a great thing because West Brom had a good team, and you knew they were a good team, and it wasn't strange that should happen as such, but it was just awe-inspiring that it was happening.
Yeah, I mean, it was an amazing thing. But going back to the shirt again, those pictures of Passarella with the cup. I don't know why it is, but the new World Cup. I mean, it looked particularly good with the backdrop of that shirt. Somehow, it made it stand out. Somehow, I don't know quite why, but it was a great shirt, and it's an absolute classic. I think there's no question about that.
No question at all. Interestingly, out of your selection, Dave, this is the only Adidas kit. But I mean, I'm interested in how the kind of like the different kits were the manufacturers. I'm keeping a note of it. And so when we did the one with Adam, it was kind of like he didn't do it by choice. He didn't it wasn't a strategy or anything, or I'll pick that because I'll pick too many Adidas kits or whatever. It was interesting to see how he went, and I think out of the 7 kits he picked, I think he went for at least 5 different manufacturers. And I think you're on. I think you're leaning towards 6 different manufacturers here, Dave. Your England 1970 kit being an Umbro kit.
Indeed.
But yes,
that's what we want.
It is. This is interesting. This is good. This is good. I'm very interested in the human psychology amongst these. Not just the visuals, but also the underlying. Well, who made these kits? Let's see if is there a kit manufacturer in particular that is drawing us, or is it just kind of like is something else at play here?
1958. I don't know who was the kit manufacturer. I mean, 1958 is before even my time.
I have just looked that up, so I will roll that to you after you've eulogised about this kit.
It's the Soviet Union, partly for having CCCP on the front of the shirts, which I think is a good move. which is something we should bring back for all of them. It's got a collar. Not many of my shirts have got a collar, but I'm quite partial to a collar on a shirt. It's amazing how time distorts. I mean, Darley had got it right with all them melting wristwatches and stuff. In 1958, when it's only 6 years before I was born, but probably I first came across it in 1917, the sort of the Mexico annuals before and 12. That was only 12 years from, and that seemed like a different world, completely different world. And of course, all the things that you were seeing were black and white photos. So you got this CCCP kit, and then I remember some point in the early 70s stumbling across it somewhere in colour, and it was this incredibly vivid red, and you think that didn't fit with all the the Soviet Union was Brezhnev at that point, and it was it was really dour and it was dark and it was frightening, obviously, because of the Cold War and all that stuff. And then they've got this incredibly vivid, zingy red shirt, and perhaps we're not being told entirely the truth about all of these things. Maybe, I don't know. So I don't know. I mean, that made an impression on me, but it just seems so long ago, 1958. Of course, it was only it's the same distance now as from this World Cup to the one that Germany won in Brazil, which seems like 5 minutes ago, frankly. But it was an amazing. The lettering was the first thing. I mean, that was just obviously some sort of propaganda move on the part of the Soviets to frighten the oppositions into submission, I suppose. But that also, and then of course at the back of it you got the man in black, Lev Yashin, in his black goalkeeping kit. So it's two great kits in one, really. From the same team. And if all the outfielders had worn that flat cap that Yashin had got, it would have been the perfect kit. That's what they all should have done. They should have all been kitted out in flat caps, running up and down. But no, I think in terms of, it's very difficult to think of kits probably pre-66, isn't it? Because it is so much black and white. But of the pre-colour era kits, that one's the one that sticks out for me.
No, totally in for this. Always loved the Soviet kits throughout the years. But yeah, that 58 one, it does stand the test of time. Yeah, in black and white terms, you would expect it to be a far deeper colour. If you're told by the commentator it's red, you're thinking that's going to be like a burgundy red or something like that, something that is deep and foreboding. But no, not this bright and kind of like effervescent kind of shocking red almost. The fact that what did I write? I wrote about Garincha one time, article about Garincha, and obviously they crossed paths with the Soviet Union, and as part of that, reading up on the pre-match build up to it and stuff like that, and in the articles, the Soviet players being referred to as Soviet Supermen, and being built up to be these kind of like the walking off the pages of a comic book. Out of their spaceship to show Brazil how to play football. Yeah, didn't quite work out like that, but yeah, it's interesting, that whole propaganda, as you say, the narratives we are given versus the somewhere in between that it will reside is always fascinating as well.
It is, yes. It is just such a great. It is a pity that I'm not one for colorising anything, in films or stills or whatever. But it's such a shame that World Cup wasn't done in colour. Obviously, we hadn't got the technology at that point, but that would have been something to see, I think. As is the next one, 1998, Croatia, which is the checkerboard with they're taking the flag and put it on the shirt. That was just. Okay, we had Campos with his migraine goalkeeping kits in previous World Cups, but this really stood out, didn't it? It was a major departure, I think, from other things. That Croatian one doubles as a chessboard. You could play noughts and crosses on it if you were a bit bored. So it was, and they were a great team as well. So it got all the bits to it, hadn't it?
It ticked all the boxes. Yeah, it was just so unlike anything, because like international football, it is literally just block colour shirts. Whatever colour you're looking at, that's what made kind of like the Peru kit stand out, because of the sash that goes across the shirt and stuff like that. You don't get kind of like hooped or striped shirts in international football unless you're kind of like France in '78 and you have to go to Kimberley, the local club, to borrow their shirts for a game, because everyone's brought the white shirts to the France-Hungary game. So this really did stand. It was quite a stunning thing, absolutely stunning thing. Create Lotto, the company here, not the lottery company, not the you can't put your 6 numbers in and hope to get a tenner back at the best. This is Lotto, the kit manufacturer. In terms of the Soviet Union, Olympiada, Dave, are the company I'd never heard of that created these kits. With the Arda part at the end, I do wonder if they're kind of like associated to the Russian car manufacturer Lada as part of this. Maybe it was an offshoot of the Lada conglomerate, Dave.
Yeah, it was what they got left after doing the seats. Yeah, we got this bit of material left here. See what you can do with that. I will go to the World Cup with it, great.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. But back to Croatia as well. Croatia, yeah, a wonderful World Cup. They would have been outplaced in the 1998 World Cup final had they managed to get it over the finish line. In some respect, I can remember that and thinking, I was although it was a great achievement for France and the celebrations down the Champs-Elysees were very, very vivid. I've always had a little bit of being slightly upset about France winning that World Cup on the basis that they didn't have a striker of purpose. Yeah, they did in the squad. Henry would push centrally eventually, at Arsenal to great effect. They had Trezeguet in there. They could have selected an Elka, yet didn't. It felt like they had loads of options to put, an actual striker at the top of this team. Yet picked Stefan Gavash, who Aidan shuddered at the mention of Stefan Gavash in a recent module for his short spell at Newcastle, where he shinned one ball in the back of the net once, scored one goal before being packed off to Glasgow to sign for Rangers, and that goal being scored in a game in which they were well beaten. It seems such a ludicrous thing, and then there was Croatia with Davor Suker doing Davor Suker type of things, and I did feel a little bit dispossessed by that. I think as well, in retrospect of how the 98 World Cup final went for Brazil in terms of the kitchen sink drama that was Ronaldo. He's not playing, oh my God, he is. No, he is playing, and then not performing, and Brazil just not being at the races, and France just winning easily. Zidane, one of the most cultured footballers in the world, scoring 2 formulaic front post headers. There was a kind of a sense of being robbed a little bit, because you're thinking, well, it was the Netherlands of Bergkamp, and it was the De Boers and all of that. Hiddink, arguably the last stylistically pleasing, almost achieving Dutch side. I think by the time you got to Van Basten leading them, and then certainly Bert van Marwijk in 2010, and you've got all that kind of anger. That's they suddenly become the bad guys, and it's like, well, how have the Dutch become the bad guys in all of this? Yeah, I think 98 was kind of like that last hurrah of that stereotype of the Dutch being the cool team and then the stylistic, skilled one. So alongside, it would have made a great thing, that being an alternative parallel universe where it was the Netherlands versus Croatia in the 1998 World Cup final, Dave. It would have looked resplendent at the very least.
It would have looked marvellous. I mean, for Croatia, obviously emerging from all of the breakup of Yugoslavia and all the war and all that sort of stuff that had gone on in the previous years, to get as far as they got in the World Cup was an incredible achievement. And obviously, they've gone on and done it again and again in subsequent years and been a fantastic team. But this was the first sort of look we had at that. This new nation will return to an old nation, however you want to look at it. They were a marvellous team. Unsettling that Davor Suker looked like Peter Mandelson. I've always hated Peter Mandelson, even at the start, even before now. So, ruination of the Labour Party, but that's another story. That's another module.
When we open the politics department, we'll go into that one day.
But the kit, it was just so left field, wasn't it? I mean, obviously it's taken from the national flag, and given the time that it was, there was particular pride in all of that, and it captured all of that. And I think it was probably an inspirational element to the team. I mean, the team with Bilic in it, for instance, as a sort of a leader figure from the back. It just encapsulated not just that team, but like a moment in time for that country. I think it was just the perfect shirt for them to have. I mean, they could very easily just have had red and white stripes, or red for the home kit, white for the away kit, or whatever. But to do that thing with the checkerboard on it was a brilliant idea, and fair play to Lotto for that.
Absolutely, it really was a bold statement. a symbolism to it as well. Here we are, totally independent of the mothership, and we are who we are, and that kit is just, it's a joy to see it every time you see it crop up, and just a great thing. Yeah, well done, Lotto, without a shadow of a doubt. Don't think I mentioned that the Italy 2006 kit, Dave, was made by Puma, which in itself is a bit of an unusual thing for the Italian team, the Diodoras and the Coq Sportif and all that type of stuff. And there's kind of like, it's Germany's second fiddle, behind Adidas in a way. It's the other Dazzler brother. It's all of that. This is Puma sneaking into the mix of things as well.
And defeating the Germans in the end.
And defeating the Germans and Adidas. There would have been Dazzler repercussions galore in a generation or two further along the line from Addy and Rudy, I'd imagine. But yeah, an amazing thing. You've got one last choice there, Dave, that you've brought this will bring us back to Umbro. So it's kind of neatly gone from start to finish there. You must have noticed somewhere the subconscious in this is really fascinating. I am impressed. The subconscious is definitely doing something as far as the kit's concerned. Take it away.
Scotland 1978 with the Umbro Diamonds, which is always a good thing. I think I was probably more invested in that World Cup as a Scotland follower than I've been in any other World Cup, really. I was 14 at the time. Willie Johnston, of course. Not that it went well.
No.
But Willie Johnston was having the time of his life at the Albany. It remains one of my absolute favourite players, the most entertaining footballer I've ever watched. I think still to this day, he was just when the mood took him, he was just he was a great player, incredible pace. Wingers have always been the players that I've always liked watching the most, all the way through, and he was the absolute epitome of a winger. Great control, pace, all of that, and the 18 months leading up to that World Cup, he was in electric form, and he kept John Robertson, out of it, and I would have to say rightly so at that point. So that shows you how well he was playing. Great player that John Robertson was. But it's a fantastic kit. I went up to Hampden 6 or 7 years ago for something, and went around the museum and all that, and then the shop, and for some reason they'd got replica kit of the 1978 shirt in the shop, and I'm far too old for any of that kind of thing. if ever I've been tempted to buy one, it would have been that, because you look at it. The blue is just the most fantastic shade of blue. It's absolutely gorgeous, that shirt. It's got this huge badge an enormous badge on the chest as well. It's just a work of art, that shirt. It's absolutely fantastic, and they should just have said, right, this is it. We're going to wear exactly this shirt forevermore. Bugger who the kit manufacturer is. This is Scotland forever. And of course, that's not going to happen. But it's a magnificent shirt, and the excitement before that World Cup. It seems ridiculous now having seen what happened at the World Cup. But Ali McLeod was a great self-publicist and a great PR man, and they were a very good side. They were a very, very good side, actually. And they had some great players in there. Didn't play Graham Souness early enough, foolishly, in the midfield, which was a big mistake. Obviously, the catastrophe of the Johnston failed drug test, although there's all sorts of shenanigans that went on around that, because he wasn't chosen for the drug test initially. Then, for some reason, he got pulled out of the dressing room and made to take the test, and it was a hay fever remedy or something, whatever. But it's kind of got obscured what a good side that Scotland team was, and it could have gone further in the competition. Again, it had a really tough draw. These were the days when there were only 16 teams got there, so it was a major thing to have qualified. England didn't qualify, and then you were in groups of 4, and they were with the Dutch, who obviously went on to the final, and Peru, who people underestimated, but Peru 78 were a very good side, and they caught Scotland cold, and that was the end of it. And obviously then the disaster against Iran in the middle game, but the draw. But it remains a fantastic kit. It's the pinnacle, I think, for Scottish kits.
Yeah, I get the feeling that Scotland at that point in time had the wrong manager in the wrong tournament. If you swapped Ali McLeod and Willie Ormond around, I think certainly they would get through to the second stage of one of those 2 tournaments, I think. Yeah, the infamous kind of like Ali McLeod lack of preparation in terms of watching the opposition play and stuff like that was very telling in '78. But you couldn't knock or you couldn't help but love his enthusiasm and his confidence and his bravado, his brio. I think we'll have to go there. But that kit is just a magnificent piece of kit. I mean, I recently purchased a reissue of the Peru kit of '70. It's got the number 10 on the back. Cabillas' number 10 on the back as well. Found it at a bargain price. It was one of these, Adidas that you thought, I wouldn't mind one of those. And then it's like, how much are you asking for that? It was about £90 they were asking for it. But I found one at another company, managed to find it for about $38.99 or something. I thought, for real? I will have that. But yeah, I've seen the Scotland one tip up, and let's just say it's not an official reissue. It's an unofficial reissue, but it does have all the right logos and the diamonds down the sleeves and all that type of stuff. So since I've got the Peru one, I'm thinking if that tips up on my timeline somewhere, I might just get that. So we've got the two sides of that game, which I for me is the most resplendent looking football match, most sartorially elegant football match, that Scotland Peru one from '78. And I think
get it and have the two of them framed with a packet of Puritan in the middle. It'd be
yeah. There's guy Willie Johnson doing the adverts for them as well. That would be great. That would be good. That would be good. But no, honestly, absolutely beautiful. And as well for those first two games, and the two games of misadventure there in '78, is that they were the blue shorts as well. So the Red Sox, I think there's something right about that colour combination. And yet, bizarrely, they returned to white shorts for the Holland game, where they actually turn into world beaters, and Archie Gemmill does what he does, and amazing things. So maybe the fact that it didn't look quite as good in terms of the kit for the Netherlands games with the white shorts, maybe that was the Samson and Delilah moment, though. Maybe, if they'd have worn white shorts, Dave, against Peru and Iran. And that's the thing you're looking at that, thinking it's colour clash or something. Is that what it is? And I don't think it is. I think the Netherlands wear orange shorts, I think, in that game, or they're in all white. It's one or the other. But they're certainly not wearing blue shorts in that game. It is simply just a choice of whatever is available there. But no, yeah, totally get with the Scotland '78. Dave, a wonderful selection, as I say. There's a really good cross section of manufacturers there. We've got an array of different tournaments, and I think we're on an interesting kind of cultural split as well. We've got two South Americans, we've got a couple of from the British Isles, one from mainland Europe, two from mainland Europe, but we've also got a venture behind the Iron Curtain there as well, Dave. A well constructed selection of kits there for your boys took a hell of a beating World Cup kit Hall of Fame. Sorry, Andy, not for calling it such a long elongate. I'll come up with something else. Maybe I'll pluck out a line from kind of like David Bowie's Fashion. Maybe we are the Goon Squad and we're going to town, BB. Maybe. Moving on to our and finally section, Dave. I did earlier on today send you a top 40. It is from the day after Scotland's opening game defeat to Peru in Cordoba. That's one of the best charts I've sent out on one of these modules that we're doing, Dave.
It is. It's very good. I mean, my heart sank when I actually initially opened it up and I looked at the top three, which was Boney, John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John, and darts, which are three that I hate the most in the entire history of the world. But as you move on, I mean, the winner, obviously, is Because the Night, the Patti Smith group.
Because the Night, Patti Smith.
One of the great singles of all time. Bruce Springsteen, co-writer on that. Then you've got at number 10, before Kevin De Bruyne and all that came up, the most famous Belgian in the world, Patrick Bertrand.
Yes.
And he didn't, let's just kill the myth now, he didn't kill himself in the bath while changing a light bulb after all. That is an urban myth.
It's an urban myth. Okay. That is an urban myth.
Bertrand, that's right.
We do. Yeah, if he was kind of like metal conduction Bertrand, then maybe different. Might be a different matter. But no, he was fine. It was not the bath. But yeah, I'm glad you picked that one. I'm a big advocate of number 10 there. Anything further down, Dave?
It's a very decent chart, actually, as you say.
Very decent chart.
What 17?
Blondie, number 17, yeah, which is excellent. I'll throw in What a Waste, Ian Dury at number 11.
Rosalie by Thin Lizzy, who I went and saw the year after. At Birmingham Odeon of blessed memory before they turned it into a bloody cinema. Philistines.
These town planners, Dave. Town planners, good God.
Disgrace.
We have the Smurf song at number 25, Dave. The intro. Father Abram and the Smurfs.
Yes. Black Sabbath have got a hit single at number 28, Never Say It All.
Yes.
Which I don't really remember particularly well, to be honest. But the latter days of Ozzy Osbourne with Black Sabbath there, making a hit. Elvis Costello.
Yes, definitely pump it up. Elvis Costello and the Attractions.
And Don't Fear the Reaper, Blue Oyster Cult.
Don't Fear the Reaper, number 33, yeah.
So it's, compared to many of the charts that we've had to labour through over these modules, this one I think is that's in the Hall of Fame. There.
That is in the Hall of Fame. That is up there with the Italia 91 there. That was done a few modules ago, where it was just littered with, if you ignored the football related songs, most of those and anything to do with Pete Wortman, then there was a hell of a lot that was well worth listening to there. But yeah, that's going to be a busy old Sunday on the play and record button.
Absolutely.
There, Dave.
Oh yeah, I remember doing that on a regular basis. Got the old radio cassette player from I think it was from Tandy, if you remember Tandy.
I remember Tandy, yes.
In the olden days. Realistic, I think, was their brand, wasn't it?
Yes.
Pressing the play and record, away we go. I can't remember who was doing the charts in the late 70s. It might have been somebody horrendous like Simon Bates, possibly, at that point.
Possibly. I think Tony Blackburn might have done it for a bit as well. And probably one or two that via Operation U-Tree we're not able to mention anymore. Yeah. But yeah, we'll go with Tony Blackburn. We will expect Tony Blackburn to be doing that one. Unless while you're perusing the TV guide, I will see if I can spot who it might have been. Yeah, we do Sunday Radio 1. We've got Simon Bates at 6 o'clock. It could well be Simon Bates.
I suspect it was.
Yeah, I think you might be right there. Yeah, at 3 o'clock, the Annie Nightingale request show, the Sunday request show went on forever, Dave. It was great.
Yes,
loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we've got part 3 repeat of the Stevie Wonder story at 5 o'clock. While at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, we've got a bit of Jimmy Savile, Dave, with the old record club. That we might give that one a miss.
Let's move on. Always the ones you least expect.
It's always the ones you least expect, or occasionally most expect. TV build-up, World Cup final day, Dave. We've got the game kicking off at 7 o'clock kickoff. We've got today. Obviously, only 3 channels. We're still 4 years away from Channel 4 here, Dave. Your build-up to the World Cup final, BBC One are going big on both channels are going big on the movies. BBC are showing 3:55. Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, the Gene Wilder 1971 version there, followed by a brief hiatus for the news, then an episode of Some Mothers Do Have 'Em at 5:40. Michael Crawford in a repeat showing of an episode from the prize-winning comedy series with Michelle Detroit, before the BBC's coverage of the final kicks in at 6:15. Over on ITV, we have got, again, they say they've gone movie as well. They are going with The Great Race, Dave, 1965 comedy. Tony Curtis, Jack Lemmon, Natalie Wood, Peter Falk.
I remember that.
Kind of live-action version of the Wacky Races.
Yes, we'll have that. We'll have that.
We'll have that. I'd be leaning towards that. ITV are throwing out us 2:15, the World Cup 78, who will win the World Cup. So they've got a bit of a preview programme of the final coming up. And ITV on the simultaneously at 6:15 with their coverage of the final. As a point of interest, Dave, the programmes that will be disrupted after the game goes to extra time. A Touch of Class, the George Segal and Glenda Jackson 1973 sex comedy. This is within the pages of the the Daily Telegraph. So this is Saturday's Daily Telegraph that is very bluntly declaring it to be a sex comedy. Over on BBC One, Esther Ransom will be left waiting the outcome of the World Cup final with That's Life.
She'll be enjoying herself with a strangely shaped vegetable.
Yes, she will. And a dog that can say sausages, without a shadow of doubt. Over on BBC, we do have some cricket, Dave. 1:55, it's the John Player League cricket clash between Somerset and Yorkshire.
Fantastic.
Which will be on until, scheduled to be on until 6:45. Yeah, so your choices there, not a bad set of choices there. Two classic movies as such, and a day of cricket there, Dave.
I think the cricket. I used to love the John Player on a Sunday. It was John Arlott and Jim Laker. I used to do 20 overs each in each innings as commentators. Fantastic that one.
Yeah, but a bit of Sunday cricket on Sunday Grandstand was a great thing to watch.
Absolutely, and that again, as we've said a million times, it's that period in your life, that sort of 12, 13, 14, 15, whatever it is, that sets the imprint of what everything should be like, and everything else that's a disappointment because it all changes. But that was when I could understand what the cricket season was. You'd play a 3-day game starting on the Saturday. It'd be the John Player between the same teams on the Sunday. Then on the Wednesday, there'd be whatever round it was, of the Benson Energies or the Gillette Cup. Yeah. And then there'd be another 3-day game after that. It all made perfect sense. I have no idea what the cricket season is now.
No, not a clue. Not a clue. They all wear pyjamas as well and white balls and all that type of stuff. And the fireworks and all that sort of thing. It's wrong. Yeah, even at Test cricket level, Dave, it's like numbers on the back of shirts and stuff like that. It's like, what is this? Yeah.
No.
Yeah. They lost me a long time ago. Yeah, I think my last hurrah would have been the Alan Lamb era and all of that. Yeah, but no, Dave, brilliant, absolutely loved it. A great set of selection of kits there. Thank you once again.
Absolute pleasure to think about those kits of yesteryear. I'm sure there'll be nothing in this upcoming bean feast that's on a level with any of those.
No, not at all. I mean, when we did with Adam, and he mentioned France '98 as among his selection of kits. It was interesting discussing that one because I think that was the first kit that was done as a kind of rehash of the previous kit, because it was virtually the France '98 kit from the Euro '84 kit. So yeah, I mean that's the line there where you start to see kind of let's just kind of like reissue a remake of a classic kit. And yeah, we were discussing that one on the basis that is that where they start to run out of ideas and
good ball.
But yeah, that might just be your dividing line there. But no, none of that for Dave Bowler. They're all classic, good kits that you could make you could bake a pie on, Dave.
Absolutely. The quality coming through, a stamp of quality.
Brilliant stuff. Thank you, Dave. All that leaves you to do is say thank you for listening. Spread the word. Subscribe if you haven't already, because then you get your podcast from us directly to your email inbox, like that computer game Paperboy in the 1980s. You'll hear a thud on the door and you'll think, well, what's that? It's not the Daily Mirror. It's the latest offering of Your Boys Took Hell the Beta. We're also on YouTube. Do go and like everything that we've done. It makes a difference. Thank you so much for listening. Join us again next time. Thank you and goodbye.